live, Coach.
We're live.
Let's do
We,
it.
we got a guest on, don't we, Brian?
Yes. Who do we have on today, Coach?
We have one of my fighters, Kyle Crutchmer. He's been with me 5 years, Kyle. You've been with me 5 years?
I've been with you for 5 years, Coach. 5 years. Now we're moving past 5 years. Now we're going on 6. We're moving forward. So it's been a while.
Well, it's been a while. Yeah.
Yeah, it has. A lot of good memories.
And here we go. Hey, Brian.
Yes.
Did you guys watch the fights yesterday?
Yes.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I watched the main card, most of the main card.
Let's just go. I go with Kyle. What fight did you like the best and why?
Really, I liked the last one. Obviously for the entertainment part. I think Thompson, for being as old as he is, he still looks so good and he looks so fast. I didn't like Kevin Holland's part. I think, you got 2 takedowns and you just let him up. I think he could have probably stole those 2 rounds and probably made it a little bit further, maybe not even have hurt his hand. So that was the most entertaining fight to me.
Yeah. What about you, Brian?
I agree. That one was entertaining, but I also like the Tai Tuivasa with Sergi.
Yeah, Tai Tuivasa. Yeah.
What about you, Coach?
Me, you know what? I got to tell you, there was a lot of good fights in this card, but I really, really enjoyed the main event, and it just showcased what a great kickboxer a Wonder Boy is when you allow him to kickbox. It just shows the level of a guy using karate to utilize in a kickboxing event, where it's mostly like a lot of good boxers, but a lot of what he does is karate-like moves. He implements a tiny bit of Muay Thai, this and that, but most of what he does is karate. And man, this guy is unbelievable, and he showed it. And like what Kyle said in regards to Kevin, I thought what I liked about Kevin is that he wanted to stand with this guy, and he had the takedown, but he didn't try for the takedown. The takedown just came to him. Mm-hmm. And then from that point, what he did is he let him up and hey, it's not, how I am, Kyle. I would never allow you guys to do that. But you guys are going to do what you're going to do. That's the way you guys are. So Kevin, he decided he wanted to fight that way and entertain the crowd. And man, that he did. He entertained the crowd. Incredible. What about the kind of shots he took? Unbelievable.
Jeez, those head kicks.
And something that I noticed, Thompson don't throw a lot of hooks. Everything was very straight, and he uses his kicks very well. His range was really good, and he just doesn't really get hit much. I mean, he got to hit a little bit, but like a lot of those punches Kevin was throwing weren't landing because of his range. He was very fun to watch.
Yeah, he used his kickboxing range, and that's why he was using his legs a lot. And what about Kevin telling him, slow down?
Yeah. I mean, that dude at 40 years old is still very, very fast. He's still, he looks like he probably has another 3 or 4 years left in him, maybe even more. That's what he decides to do.
Yeah, right. The way he was performing, and it just goes to show you the level of striking where this guy's at. But hey, let's be honest too. What if Kevin had not broken his hand? What could have happened? Remember, before he broke his hand, he hit him with that one shot, and it looked like it might have been lights out, And what if his hand had not broken and he continued to throw that right hand? What could have happened?
Chances would have been there for him. Chances would have been there for him, for sure, for us to fight. I just really believe that I think he was getting very frustrated even before his hand. I think he just didn't realize that this guy was that good. Because all of his punches were like missing, very, very, like very short, and then he'd come back with something and boom, boom, and then move completely out. His timing for everything was just so perfect.
And this karate timing, it's not boxing angles. Those are karate angles, and through his dad, he was able to utilize those angles and make it work in the kickboxing. And Brian, what was his kickboxing record, Wonder Boy? 50-0 or 50-something, 70?
50-0.
50-0. That in itself is an unbelievable record. So, I mean, props to Kevin Holland, right? I mean, he decided to fight a guy that was 50-0 and one of probably the greatest kickboxers of our era, you know, and he decided to go at it with him. So, I mean, man, I give Kevin Holland so much credit and praise for what he did as a warrior. Yes. But, you know, as a strategist, which is what I like to do, I like to win the fight. He, you know, like Kyle mentioned, he gave away probably the first 2 rounds, which could have made the difference. But, you know, it's like Kyle, I always tell you guys, right? If you want to go out on your shield and at least throw a great fight, and that's what he did, you know, but that's not my choice. My choice is number one is, what's my choice? Winning. Number one.
Using your queen. Use your queen. Go win.
He didn't use his queen, did he? Yeah, or maybe he did. Maybe he did, but he could have used
not the queen for that fight.
Yes.
He could have used his queen for that fight. I think your queen can change if it needs to. And I think that fight could have been a little bit simpler if he would have let some on the ground go, maybe cut him or maybe hurt him a little bit on the ground and then get back up. But he just immediately, he just let Thompson just feel comfortable the whole fight. You know, once he realized that he wasn't going to take him down anymore, he was like, okay, now we can just kickbox. He never had that threat. You know, that threat of him trying to take him down. So
the crazy thing in the third, when Holland was hurt, he was still throwing that hand though, right? He was just throwing it, and it was weird though because you can kind of see, I don't know, it was just weird. He was just throwing it out there, and he still tried to grapple with that hand.
He telegraphed because it was hurt, and you see what his hand. He was going like this with his hand. I mean, you could tell he was compromised, and man, the kind of shots he took were just heavy. Wow. I mean, I never. This was the first time I've actually seen him fight, believe it or not. And I got to tell you, I was, you know, the last time I seen anything with him was with Shemaya when he went with Hamzat, and it was like over like quick because Hamzat just took him down, and you know, I only seen a brief, you know, piece of that, but it was over quick. You know, it was over quick. He just went and took him down. Which now watching what happened there with Hamzat and him, you can understand why Hamzat did that, because he wasn't going to be stupid and stand with this guy, because one shot from Kevin Holland can change your whole everything. And just watching the videos of him and the past fights he's had when he's knocked out those guys with one shot, that right hand, and then him talking about his right hand, being that confident in his right hand. I mean, it showed when he did it, man. What do you think? I think fight of the year. What do you guys think?
So far, yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, unless something, I don't know if there's any more fight cards, but yeah, I mean, that was very exciting. Very, very exciting. I would have loved to see another round, a couple rounds, but I would have loved for it to go one more with Holland being healthy, of course. But it was a very good fight. I was there when he knocked out Jacare on his back. I don't know if you've ever seen that, Coach, but Jacare was he was on top of him, and I was actually at the fight with Manel during the COVID, because he had the backup fight, and he hit Jacare from his back and knocked him out, and that was one of the craziest things I've ever seen in any sport or anything in person. That was absolutely wild. Jacare fell like face first off of him and was out cold. That was when I realized how much power this guy really had.
Right, because Jacare could take a good punch, and he's a warrior. Jacare, they don't make any fighters. That guy's about as a warrior as they come, Jacare. He really is. He is an incredible warrior. So if he knocked him out from the bottom with the right hand, I saw a little, they showed the preview of that, you know, but not a lot. But if you were there in person with the crowd going crazy and the energy, you probably think that is something to see, right? But let me ask you guys this: Kyle, what did you think? Here the fight's going not so good, right? And the guy's corner throws in the towel. He says, "Stop." What do you think about that? Now, remember, the reason why I'm asking this, Kyle, is most fighters, you know, they have a show person, they have a win purse, right? And what do you think about the situation where you're in a fight and you know you're losing, and your corner's about to throw in the towel, but you're like thinking, well, shit, I lost half my money. Don't throw in the towel. Versus, let's say you get paid one lump sum, and you know the chances of you winning are good. You know the corner's looking after your safety. Is there a difference for you whether you make one lump sum or you make a winning show? What do you think will make you more motivated, or is it the same for you?
To me, I trust my corners. I trust the guys that I'm with. I trust the guys that I go into a fight with, and if they see something that they don't like, I if they throw in a towel, then that I believe that they did that for my own good. As a fighter, I never would do that. Right? I would never take a towel. I would never tell them I'm done, no matter any circumstance, because that's my job is to win the fight. Um, it's hard to say, because it is a difficult deal because we do get paid fight to fight. But I also believe that fighters, if you're starting a fight and you're making, these good amounts of money, save it. Don't spend it. Take care of your money. So if in situations like that does happen, you're not scrapping to try to fight again really fast. You have your money in the bank. You're saving the things that you need to. You're living very small that right now while you're saving up. And yeah, so I don't know, Coach. I really believe that if whoever's in your corner, if they're looking out for you, and that's where the direction of the fight needs to go, and like Kevin has his hand broken, things like that. They probably saw his body language, and they know the guy. They sauna with the guy. They help him cut weight. They see him every day, and I think that they probably pulled the trigger on that just based off his body language, and they care for the guy, and it wasn't really going very well for him anymore.
Oh.
But do you think, based on what you're saying and what you saw, do you think maybe they might have stopped it? Maybe before the fourth round started, because the third round was looking pretty bad.
They probably gave him the option. They probably gave him the option, like, hey, you got to turn this around in the fourth. If not, we're going to call it.
Yeah,
what do you think?
And I really, yeah, I think they were probably starting to think it, but in that fourth round, I mean, it did get really bad. He was taking some very heavy shots. I mean, he completely started fighting different. There was no more chasing. He just backed up towards the cage and was looking for that one shot. And that one shot never came. Really didn't even get close. And I think when Kevin sat down, I actually, I watched him sit down. You could tell he just wasn't there anymore. He was very frustrated, and I don't really think anything good comes from that. He's still a young guy. He built more of a name in that fight, believe it or not, with the loss. Now he's exciting, and people want to watch Kevin Holland fight. Yeah. So I think you just go get your hand fixed. Go back to the drawing board, whatever you and your coaches decide to do moving forward. But, I believe that was the right call for his corners.
I agree. Hey, you guys, I got a question for you. This is a pet peeve of mine. And I don't understand why this happens all the time. But since I never did it as a fighter, but Kyle, answer this for me. What is it about a fighter after he fights, he thinks it's a great thing to grab his mouthpiece and throw it in the stands? Who in the hell? Who wants their mouthpiece? You tell me. I want to know who in the stands wants a fighter's mouthpiece.
There's people out there who want it as a momentum or.
I mean, yeah, for sure.
There's
for
people.
Sure. I see where Brian's standing. But first of all, I'm keeping my mouthpiece because those things are like $100.
They're not cheap.
Okay. Second of all, I personally wouldn't want someone throwing and like their saliva and blood and getting on. I don't know. Because in some places I fought, they say that do not do that and that they'll fine you for that because it's a hazard. So we were just talking about this last night. I mean, it's the moment, though. It's the moment. You get a big finish over a big guy. You don't really have clothes on. What can I take off? You throw your mouthpiece. And, I personally probably won't do it. But also, Coach, if I get a knockout in the near future, I can't sit here and say that I won't grab my mouthpiece and throw it out of the cage.
Well, I can tell you,
So
I won't catch it if I'm in the stands.
yeah.
I'll avoid it. I will.
Yeah, for sure. I'll just make you a new one. I'll give you a new one. I'll just go get a new one made for you.
But of all the souvenirs, for me, I just look at it like I seen a joke parody years ago about a football player. The kids, how the kids go out there and give him a jersey, right? There's a parody type comedy where it showed the athlete giving the kid the jock strap.
Oh man, see, no way.
To me, it's
No.
like the mouthpiece. The mouthpiece isn't as bad, but to me, it's kind of like one of those kind of like, well, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, because that thing, yeah, because most of the time you don't just you wear it in practice too. That thing has some mileage on it.
Yeah,
Also, most of
All
the
over the
time,
floor. Sometimes
it's
people
all
just
over. Yeah, I mean, that thing isn't. Man, I don't know. I mean, there's people are grabbing that though, cleaning it, probably like this, grabbing it, cleaning it, taking it home, and saying, "Oh my gosh, this is so and so's mouthpiece." But at the same time, you're running a risk of getting some, nasty stuff on your hands or something. So I'm not
for
a
me,
big fan of it.
yeah. This the mental part for me is I'm just like, why would I want your mouthpiece? I mean, throw a jersey, your glove, or hand
Yeah,
wraps. Hand wraps are
yeah.
cool. If you got
Hand
your
wraps are
hand
cool.
wraps, yeah, they throw
Yeah,
your wraps out there. Which for a lot of the guys in the past, I always make sure in special fights that you guys keep your hand wraps because those are good framers. Put your
yeah, for
gloves in
sure.
the
Yeah,
title. Those are really good to frame the wraps. Signed by the commissions and the whole bit. Those are really, really, really cool.
Yeah.
And I guess the mouthpiece is right in line with the shoey, right?
Oh man. Oh, the shoey's different. Nuh-uh. Because if you've watched him, because I spent time in Vegas with him, and I didn't realize how big of a deal it was. And I went to a fight with him, and he will have someone also spit
Spit.
in the shoe. And
Yes.
when he did that, I was like, oh, I thought this was a different thing. I mean, that was like, oh man. I was just praying that he didn't ask me to do it with him. He didn't, luckily, because I probably would have just because of, the vibe. But
Peer
oh
pressure.
man, peer pressure.
I
I
did
probably would
one
have
with
said,
them.
yeah, do that. You've done
Myself
it?
and yeah, me and Charles, we went actually we went hiking when he was out here at AKA. And so it just like finished raining, so it was muddy and it was just a crazy trail. And we were slipping and sliding everywhere, so the shoes were filthy. Then we get to the
Oh,
top of the place where we're hiking, and we pull out some beers, and he's like, "All right, let's do one." I didn't know they spit in them, and then he's like, and I was like, "Oh, what is
you
this?"
drank one with the spit?
That's the way you do it.
Oh
I didn't
man,
know. I
I
didn't know
couldn't do
until we
it.
get to the top, right? And he actually spit in it. And me and Charles
Uh-uh.
looking at each other like, but it was too late to back out. So yeah, no, we did it.
Ooh, you got peer pressured hard.
And then we had to walk down the hill with, wet, muddy shoes. But yeah, no, we did it.
Now I know what kind of kid you were in high school.
Yeah.
Peer pressure just got to you.
No,
Huh?
no.
I can honestly tell you guys, I wasn't one of those kids. I wouldn't.
Yeah, I
if
probably
it's
wouldn't
bad
have
in
done that.
your shoe, I am sorry. You're not getting me to drink it no matter what.
No.
What does that
Did
say?
what it taste like?
You don't even taste. You
What?
just taste the beer. Yeah.
No, I
Your
mean like
beer brand?
the beer tastes normal.
Yeah, it just tastes normal.
Oh
Yeah, it tastes normal.
man, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Ugh. So, coach, you wouldn't do it, huh?
No, let me give you an example of how I am when it comes to stuff like that. Long time ago, when 1909 or something like that, when I was at a nightclub, I was at a bar, and I was there with this guy, real bad guy, like a real bad guy, not a good guy at all, real bad guy, really known to be a bad guy, and I was with him and stuff, not with him, but I knew the guy, and I'm sitting there, and he goes, here, have a beer, and I don't drink beer. As a young kid, my dad had me drink beer when I was like 3 or 4 years old, and oh God, it's just so that day, it's like I can't touch beer. It's just
That's
disgusting.
Mexican deterrence.
Yeah, so yeah, I guess
Go.
that's what my dad got me to not want to ever drink beer. So this guy says, drink the beer. I said, no, I don't drink beer. And he opens up his pocket, his jacket. He's got a gun in there. He goes, drink the beer. And I'm looking at him, and I said, no, I'm not drinking the beer. And then he went to grab his gun and like to insinuate he's going to shoot me if I don't drink the beer. And luckily for me, my good friend, that was a real good friend of his, he went and grabbed his hand. He goes, hey, he don't drink beer. Leave him alone. But I think at that time I was that stupid where I would have said, shoot me because I ain't drinking the beer. But stupid. That's stupid. But here, that's the story I'm saying about as a kid, I was that way. I was never going to do something I didn't want to do. And that's just an example of how our stubbornness is sometimes not the best strategy. And that was one of the cases there. And that's why I'm sharing that, because that, in hindsight, someone says, drink the beer. I don't know this guy that well. He might shoot me. I'm going to drink the beer. I just say, get it over with. Drink the beer.
I'd get another one, and I'd look like Stone Cold Steve Austin at the bar, just pouring the beer on me and all of that. I couldn't. He grabs his gun. I'm like, here, I'll just do it. Give me 2 of them.
Give me 4. Right?
Yeah,
no, I think the whole different ball game now. I'm not going to go that route. So, Kyle, we got you on here because, we know you got to fight next week, right?
Sure.
And
yes,
for you, it's a big step and another direction for you to go after the Bellator title. I mean, you're in the top 10 and, you have a good opponent, and how do you feel? Are you ready to go?
I feel good, Coach. Like I know, you've seen, I've gotten better. I have the right people around me. I one of the best camps, if not the best camp to be around me. I have great training partners and I feel good, and I think one thing about AKA is, we don't ever really deter from what we're good at. We do what we're good at, and we let everything kind of climb with it. And I feel really good about this fight. My main goal is to be a world champ, and that's why I got into this, and that's why I came out here to you guys to help me prepare for these things. So I feel good. I feel very good, actually.
One question: how did you end up at AKA?
I wrestled in college at Oklahoma State, and I was I had some credentials there. I did pretty good wrestling there. And then there was an article that came out that said who would be the best college wrestler to transfer over to MMA. And I was like, I think 1 or 2 on the list. And once that happened, I got recruited to some different gyms. Long story short, I went to Alpha Male with Uriah Faber for, I think it was 6 days. And I'm in the car with Uriah, and I got a random call from a California number. And Uriah was on the phone. So I just answered the phone, and it was DC. And I've talked to DC one time in college, and I've told him that I didn't really like him in college because he like blew me off. He was like too cool for me at the time. And so he called me. He's like, hey, you don't need to go to Uriah's gym. You need to come to AK. You know how DC does it.
While you're with Uriah.
While I'm with him. And I'm sitting there and I'm like looking at Uriah while I'm on the phone. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm trying to not like let him know what he's saying. And he says, put Uriah on the phone. Put Uriah on the phone. I'm like, no, dude, he's on the phone. Well, anyways, I'm like, hey, man, let me call you when I get done. We're doing what I'm doing right now, and I'll call you. Call him that night. He's like, hey, I want to fly you out to AK. So I flew back home to Oklahoma for a day, and then got back on a plane and came straight to AK. And that's where I met Coach Hav. And, I think you might have been there too, because I think DC was in camp.
Yeah.
And that's where I met everybody. And right away, I felt like home. I felt, like I was at home. Everybody was very welcoming. You guys actually made me spar.
I was going to mention that right now. The first
day. Yeah.
That was
Coach,
your first day.
I didn't want to because I was scared shitless, to be honest, because I was looking around like these guys can actually fight, And DC gave me a bunch of gear, didn't fit, big headgear, big shin guards, and I sparred. But it was like I felt like I needed that. I needed AK to get to where I wanted to be, and no other place like it, man.
Yeah, there's there's a lot of things that go on, and I'm the head guy, right? So, but I also let other coaches express themselves too, because I don't shut them down. Because when you become too much of a control freak type of coach, it doesn't allow your coaches below you to explore their mind, explore their desires, and that's why I have that free way of letting everybody just do their thing. I don't tell a person how to coach this person or that person. I let them alone and let the fighter decide what they want to do. But also, I also going to point out certain things. If it's not the right thing, I will more or less point it out somewhat, and it just has to work for both the fighter and the coach. And that's what we've done. That's what we'll continue to do. It's never going to be my way or the highway, but it does have to be a team. If it's not a team, then it's not my way at all. That's one thing that I won't ever settle for, is that we're a team. We always have to train it like a team. If we don't, then there's no point. There's no point in being a team. It's just individualized, get together and start your own camp. You know what I mean? That's the only
for sure. Coach, so I have a question for you. Out of all the fights that you've ever, cornered or been a part of, it doesn't have to be, a championship fight or anything. It can be a crazy fight. Which one is the most memorable to you?
Well, thinking about everything, there's always one that always sticks in my mind, because I always seem to talk about it, but nobody seems to really care, to be honest with you, because it's so long ago. It was Frank Shamrock versus Tito Ortiz. And this was one of those situations where Frank Shamrock never really praised me as his coach. I was always like the boxing coach, or I was never put on as the guy that actually was leading him. He would say something like Maurice Smith and the Alliance. So I was never in any of those conversations. So nobody really knew that it was actually me that was actually training him way back in the day, when he started on his winning. He never lost the fight with me. And so anyways, long story short, we had a situation where Maurice Smith is a real good friend of mine, but Maurice will get all the credit for Frank Shamrock's fights. So, but it was always Frank and I that would come up with the game plan. Either Frank would come up with the game plan or I would, vice versa. So we had the game plan set for Tito Ortiz. Now, being that Tito was much bigger than Frank, and Frank had to struggle just to make even 185. I mean, when we went to the venue to go to, the week of the fight, Frank was going I think we went to either Wendy's or something like that just to eat, to pack on the weight. And the whole idea was to try to submit Tito right away, early, right? Try to submit him early. And if we couldn't submit early, get him tired, because he would be gassing himself because he has too much weight to lose. He was probably around 230 or so, having to come from 230 or 225, to get down to 185. So it was going to be a rough cut, so we figured we'd get him in the later rounds. So we're going into the fight, right? And sure enough, Tito takes him down right away. Frank tries to get submission. He couldn't. So Frank's moving around like a fish, just wailing, try to go this, try to, just keep it busy, get Tito busy. Maurice Smith is freaking out. He's freaking out because Frank is not doing what he wants him to do. And he's like, blah, 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 blah. Why is it in this? And I said, don't worry, Mo. It's in the plan. He's looking at me like, what plan? I said, well, we're going to do this. He goes, didn't Frank tell you? He goes, no, he didn't tell me. So the plan worked perfectly. Maurice Smith was in the dark. He knew nothing about what was going on. So for me, the fact that only Frank and I knew the game plan, our other guy knew nothing about it, he's fighting the opposite of what we're doing, was really funny for me. So it was very satisfying to see that victory come out the way it worked out perfect. It went out perfect because Tito got so damn freaking tired from trying to beat up on Frank. I mean, he even split Frank's head open, right? And he tried to split his head open with his fingers to try to get the cut to widen up.
Oh,
right?
man.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, it was one of those fights that Frank beat him down, basically outlasted him, and for me, that's the most memorable one. Again, nobody really takes it much because I don't know, when was that, 1999? I think it was something like 98 or 99 is when that fight took place. So nobody really takes it as, oh, it's a big fight. But back then it was a big fight. But back then the UFC was under Bob Meyerowitz, who was the guy that basically bought the UFC way back then. I believe from the Gracies or something. I'm not quite sure how that came about. No, sorry, that's not that worked out. Meyerowitz was the owner, but I don't know how he took it over, or did he start already with merging with the Gracies? I don't know how that all worked out. I just knew Meyerowitz was the guy, and he wasn't the smartest chip on the block out there when it comes to getting the UFC regularized. He went up against the commissions rather than work with them. He went up against them, so a lot of people were against that guy. So they had a rough go. So the UFC was actually dying. To be honest with you, it wasn't being successful. It didn't really become successful until the Fertitas took it over, and that's when they regulated everything. They got Mark Ratner from the State Athletic Commission in Nevada, who's the most respected commissioner out of all the commissioners in the United States, and probably one of the most respected guys around the world still to this day. So Mark Ratner came in and started regularizing it through all the states, and Lorenzo Fertitta, I believe, was also chairman on the state board, the commission. Was in the commission, so he's one of the commissioners. So he stepped down, which he had to do. So that's why all this became big, and that's why we're all here. If it wasn't for that, I don't know where we'd be. But anyways, I alluded a little bit more, but that's kind of more or less my most memorable is Frank Shamrock versus Tito Ortiz, and a lot had to do because Maurice Smith had no clue what was going on.
Yes, so if you could pick one guy from that era that you think could still compete with the newer age type of guys, what guy would you pick?
Wow. It had to be only one person. And because he's showed he can compete, he stayed long enough, was Vitor Belfort.
Oh, yeah.
It had to only be him. It only had to be him. Nobody else went past where he went. So yeah, Vitor Belfort would be my pick. He was remember, he started when he was 19 years of age, knocking out these heavyweights.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane.
So, yeah, it had to be Vitor Belfort, hands down Vitor Belfort for me.
That's a good pick. I would have to think. I don't know too much about those guys. That's why I asked. I mean, I do now, but not enough to pick one. But that's I've always wondered that because we used to debate that in wrestling. We'd be like, well, what guy from back then that made an impact could compete? Because everything's changing. Guys are evolving, and in 20 years from now, the sport will look completely different than it does now. So that's what I've always kind of wondered that. But that's wow. I'll have to look up some highlights on him a little bit from back in the day tonight.
Yeah, because he was good. He was really good, and if you back then. If you didn't evolve with the striking, which none of those guys did evolve properly, he evolved all the way through. So I'd have to pick him. I mean, I'm sure someone's going to pick someone else, but for me, I don't see how it could be anybody other than Belfort, and maybe another one would be Fedor, right? Fedor's been around a long time too, So the Fedor, Fedor might even be a better pick, to be honest with you, but regardless, there's very few dinosaurs that from there can compete now, present day.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's great. And Fedor has one fight coming up, right? He's fighting. Who's he fighting?
What's Bader. The guy?
Bader.
Ryan Bader.
Ryan Bader.
Right?
Rematch.
Yeah, rematch.
Yeah.
I have another question for you, Coach.
Yeah.
Do you think? So for me, seeing these older veteran guys, like what's the guy who just fought? Frankie Edgar. Do you think like the UFC and Bellator, or maybe just a whole completely a different promotion, should have like a legends only like league where they're only fighting, maybe guys around their age that are favorable, good matchups, because a lot of these older guys most of the time aren't doing well with these younger guys, which is just Father Time is undefeated. So
yeah, well, the problem with that is Father Time, like you said, is undefeated, but so is Eyeball Time too. You know,
Yeah, for sure.
the people that want to see that are going to be so few and far in between that, you know, if you're going to see the world champion fight the other number one contender, you're going to see some two old guys that they were the greatest, blah, blah, blah. How many people are going to tune into that? Like you see in boxing, right? I remember when they used to have in boxing, they had the geezers at Caesars or something like that. It was like geezers, like the old guys fighting at Caesars, right?
Hmm.
Geezers, something like that. I don't remember quite the name, but you know, you think, oh wow, this is like Larry Holmes is gonna fight. I don't know if it was George Foreman or something like that, but it wasn't that big of a hit, you know, because people want to see present day, you know. So I think if you put an old guy versus another old guy in the main, like the UFC or Bellator card, I think that's probably the way to go, you know. But
Yeah,
just
for sure.
match him with someone in their perspective age group, you know. I think
Yeah,
that
yeah,
will work. That will work. But I think if you create a whole league in itself, I don't know if that will work because
yeah, for
people are going
sure.
to want to tune in. Like, say you get to the point where you're going to fight for the title, right? And then you get to see an old fight between these old guys right here. But they get to see two. They get to see you fight for the title. They get to see these old guys that've been around a while. They fight each other. So it's kind of like people get to see, you know, like a Wonder Boy versus George Masvidal, right? And then let's say
Yeah,
you're
for
fighting
sure.
for the title in the main event type thing. So people get twofold, you know, but
Yeah, for
not that
sure.
not that Wonder Boy is not in title contention, because for me to think he's not is stupid, because you never know. If you just stand with him, he'll be in title contention, you know.
Yeah, for sure. For
I
sure.
don't I don't think anybody can stand with that guy.
I just, man, the Frankie Edgar deal the other day, I hated it because I was a big Frankie fan, being a wrestler my whole life, and I knew when going into that guy was gonna be too quick for him. He's probably gonna hurt him. So I think maybe you throw Frankie against somebody around his age, maybe on the beginning of the main card. We'll start him off, and then we'll work our way into the guys that are doing their thing now. I don't know. I just was seeing your opinion on that.
I'd rather
Well,
see him do something like ADCC. I'd rather have him do a JITS tournament or something like that, you know, or I don't
Yeah,
know.
but
I just don't want to see him
the
getting
pay
hit.
is not there. I know
I just don't want
for
to see him
sure.
get
It's
hit.
hard. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
hard.
it's definitely hard.
but this is the problem. This is the problem, and you see it all the time. And you're bringing up a very good point, Kyle. And this is something that I've never been able to do properly. I've never been able to get a fighter to retire. They have to do it on their own, no matter what I do. Hey, no, you should quit that, because it's like, I got tired of failing every single time, that I don't even do that no more. I don't tell a fighter when they should fight or not fight. Let's say for instance DC, right? I didn't want DC to fight his last two fights. I wanted him to be done with it. I didn't want him to fight Miocic #2 and Miocic #3. I didn't. I wanted him to be done. But the money was too good. The thrive of competing was too good for him. And the money was a big motivator for him. And he was past his prime. And especially after his back surgery, he was a whole different
Yeah.
fighter.
Yeah.
Not the same guy. Not the same guy. So for me, you know, I'd like to tell him, hey, retire, la 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 la, but it don't work. And with Frankie, watching him be one of the greatest of all time to, get knocked out repeatedly. How many times did he get knocked out within his last 5 fights? I know
Definitely
this was
the
the
last
first time.
two.
I know there's been two
The
very
last
bad
two.
ones. The last two have been the flying knee with Sanhagen, and then this one was pretty
Mhm.
bad. But I
I agree
imagine there's
too.
probably yeah. I think there's like three or four, coach.
It's very difficult to get fighters to retire. Look at Tyson Fury. He had retired on top of the world, and then what did he say? He goes, he's not a normal person. He can't be normal. He has to go out and do his thing, because he's so used to that style, And I know what it's like, because I did hit a tiny bit of it, because I wasn't a real fighter. I became a champion, but I was not a real fighter. The real fighters just have it in them. I didn't have it in me. But I did get a taste of, man, I can't retire. I got to come back. That feeling, that energy when you win a fight, it's like
No
it's
other.
like nothing you've ever felt in your life. It's for me.
100%.
I don't know what it was like for you competing in wrestling, but I'm telling you, for me, when I competed in the kickboxing, when I won fights, especially when I won my world titles. Oh man, there was nothing that I can compare to that adrenaline rush. That I felt like someone just shot me with so much energy. Is crazy, and that feeling of that energy. Once I retired, it wasn't there anymore. And
For sure.
Kyle, you can elaborate more on that because you know what it feels like to have that victory, to have that. The defeat is the worst too, especially
Yeah.
if you didn't properly train, you didn't do the right moves, you didn't do the right training. That'll haunt you. But when you do everything properly and things don't go out your way, then that's okay. Because I did that too. I did
Yeah,
things
for sure.
improper. I didn't do things right, and that haunted me. I cried, blah blah blah, so much, so much. But then when I did everything I was supposed to do and I did it right, but things didn't go right, I was okay with it because I gave everything. I didn't leave anything left. I did what I was supposed to do. I listened to the people I was supposed to listen to and not listen to. But regardless, I did everything that I was asked to do, and it didn't work out. So
Yeah.
it's tough. It's tough to retire, and I think in Frankie's case, I hope that's what he does now. I think he's doing that, right?
Yeah, he retired.
Yeah, he retired.
So the
For
last
sure.
ones he lost were Gutierrez, Vera. That was that vicious kick with Vera, and then Sanhagen were all the last three lost. And he won against Munoz, and then he lost against Jung.
Yeah. Do you think when you get to that age and you're still continuing to fight, do you think it tarnishes your legacy a little bit?
100%. 100%. How could it not tarnish your legacy?
Sure.
A loss is a loss. Doesn't matter when you lose it, right? You still
Yeah, for
lost.
sure.
So to me, protecting the W's is so more important than just throwing great fights. Because can you imagine if Muhammad Ali never took a loss? How great people would look at him.
Oh man. I think I watched a documentary of him the other day. I think it was one of his last fights. He was sparring, and they showed a lot of the sparring footage, and he was just getting beat up. And I mean, and his coaches were still like, "Yeah, we're still this, that." But in the sparring footage, it was bad, and that was when I was like, "Whoa, man, how are they letting this guy continue to do this?"
Money, fame.
For
Coaches
sure.
coaches don't get respect, so when they get put in the limelight, they're not used to that. They don't know how to handle it, and they have a tough time themselves. They want to be in the spotlight. A lot of coaches, they hunger for that. They hunger to be recognized because, in our sport, it's not like football or anything like that where the coach is very revered, or basketball, NBA, or anything like that. In our sport, coaches don't really get much respect. So a lot of coaches that are hungry for that, they will seek it out. And that's what probably the problem, I believe. And
Yeah.
I caught that early on with me when I my first title run, not my first title, but with one of my situations with BJ Penn when we were fighting Jens Pulver back in early 2000, I think 2 or something like that. And I changed who I was, try to fit in the groove, and I was more worried about my look than I was about my fighter, going out there doing his thing. So I realized right then and there that, wait a minute, this isn't about me. This is about the fighter, and I don't care anymore. So from that point, I learned that big lesson, that when you go out there as a coach, the only concern you have to do is your fighter. That's it, nothing else. Because I screwed up on that one. I was thinking, I'd come out, with the mustache and the beanie, the whole thing. Everybody's got that cool thing going on.
Yeah.
As a coach, I don't like you see it with a lot of fighters. You see their coaches, like for instance, I don't know the situation, but you see it with Oliveras, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see his guys all had the blonde hair, the whole bit, right? They're all blonde and this and that. And I just kind of see part of that is what I'm talking about. It's like, yeah, you know what? You want to do your hair blonde, go ahead. But if I don't want to, I don't want to be like you. You're the fighter. I'm not going to do my hair just because you are. I'm not going to do it. And that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, for sure.
It's the fighter show.
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense too.
Yeah. So I've seen too much of that, and I don't know. It's a tough thing. It's a tough thing. So what do you normally like to do after you make weight and then you're relaxing? What do you like to do? You like to just sit in your room, or go out with the guys
Um,
and eat a little bit?
well, I like to go out and eat with my friends and my family. Now I like to buy my coaches dinners. Another way of giving back to them for helping me out. And yeah, I like to just hang out, chill, and relax. Put on a good. Right now, I'll probably watch a Christmas movie or something. Yeah, just real laid back. And I FaceTime my daughter. I
Nice.
spend a lot of time, on the phone during the day and between trainings and stuff like that, talking to my daughter when I'm not around. So that normally is what I'll do until she falls asleep.
There's no better feeling than family, especially
No,
your own kids. That's absolutely number one. I know when I was fighting, I always wanted my dad around, even though my dad was an alcoholic. So it was kind of hard to have him around the way I would want him around. And yeah, so yeah, family is it's very very important. So that's cool. What about after you you know our Dagestani guys, they like burger and Coca-Cola. What do you like?
I like burgers and beer. I'm more of a
Burgers
beer
and
guy.
beer? Yeah, they don't
Yeah,
drink beer, but
yeah,
I'm sure.
I know for sure. But
No
I
shoey though,
come.
huh?
You'll
No,
find
no shoeies, no shoeies.
That's for Brian.
you'll find them in the crowd,
Yeah,
having a couple beers with everybody.
Brian will
yeah.
have a shoey with the burger, huh, Brian?
There
Hey, I knock somebody out. I'll have a shoey with Brian after a fight or something.
you go.
But no, I'd like to just. My family comes, so after. Like I really don't even like to sit around at the fights. I don't get to see my family very often, so I rather just go and go spend the night with them and hang out with them and talk about. We really don't even talk about fighting. We just talk about what's going on and things like that. It's just I have a very good family, and I've always felt supported by them, and so I like to, when I can, be present, no matter what, just spend time with them. My dad's not a big drinker. My mom drinks a little bit before my fights. My brother and us will have a couple of beers after, but you know, we normally just we just hang out as a group, as a family.
Yeah, that's cool. That's the best feeling. Family. Nothing beats family.
No,
So your fight is December 9th, right?
December 9th, this Friday.
This Friday. Who's the main event? What are you co-maining? What are you in the?
No, I'm still prelim. Still prelim. I'm trying to get out of the prelims,
How are
but
you ranked number 7 and still prelimming it?
hey, listen, man.
Number
I
7
have
Walter.
I work for a wonderful promotion. They pay me a good amount of
I'm
money
okay.
now.
I'm okay.
I am just fine wherever they put me. Later on, when I'll push for that. If I keep winning fights, they won't be able to deny where they put me. But right now, I'm a prelim guy, and that's okay. I'm still getting paid. I'm trying to work up the rankings, and when I fight for the belt, they won't be able to deny me a main event slot. So
But that one actually, it's a good main, right? You have Stotts versus Sabatello.
Sabatello, yep.
It's gonna be a
And
good one.
there's a couple good fights on there, the main card. I'm pretty sure. I
Well,
know.
Magomed
go ahead.
Magedov versus
Apache Mix.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. So yeah,
Well,
I mean,
you got the right attitude. That's the way it should be. You're in the situation where you get paid to fight. You got to climb up the ranks. Whatever they put you as the first fight on the card, who cares? You get paid to
yeah,
say, go out there and win your fight, and then the rest takes care of itself. And the mindset's proper. That's the way it should be. It shouldn't be this. Well, I should be. No, no, no.
That's true.
You get here. I'm with a great promotion, which you are. Bellator is a
yeah,
great promotion. They take care of their
it's
fighters. I don't.
amazing for
I don't
sure.
see many fighters saying otherwise. They're all
Yeah,
pretty right across the board. Very happy with the way they get treated, and you're
yeah,
correct. Hey, you got paid to fight, you got paid to perform, you get treated well. What more can you ask? When that time
yeah.
comes, you'll get your opportunity. So Kyle, what did you think about the fight over this weekend with Tyson Fury? What do you think about that guy? Me personally, I'll tell you, I love that guy. I think he's a great entertainer.
Yeah.
I like listening to him. The guy could sing. I like the fact that the guy is 6'9", looks unathletic as hell, but
Is
the total
athletic
opposite
as
of his
hell.
looks.
Yeah.
What do you think? Tell me. Go ahead.
I really believe this, and it might sound crazy, but I think if he fought the best of the best, everybody in their prime, I think he would win. I think he is that. I just think he is so big, and I think he would get a lot of those guys so tired by making them just clenching them and having to hold them and carry them. I mean, what he did to was it Wilder was so smart. I mean, you could tell Wilder just was so tired by the end of that fight. And the guy has great head movement for
Yes.
how big he is, right? Doesn't get hit a lot. I don't know. I'm a huge fan, though. I'm a huge fan of that guy. I really believe that. I don't think, unless, the age catches up to him, I just don't see him getting beat by very many guys. I mean, 6'9", he can move, he's fast. Looks like he probably punches really hard. So I will tune in and watch that guy fight every time.
He's only 34, so we got some more years to watch, right?
For sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Brian, younger.
Wow.
I didn't hear you, Coach. Go again.
Is
How
he
old is he?
34?
He's 34.
Yeah, so he's got a few years left in him. I find him very entertaining. I like watching him. But I'm most impressed with him is he does interviews with his shirt off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this guy, he just don't give a damn.
He wears those short shorts and stuff when he trains too, like cheerleader shorts almost. Yeah. Like, so, Mike Tyson wasn't big, right, for heavyweight? He wasn't very big. So what happened? So hypothetically, those two fight. Do you think Fury makes it hard for him?
Well, I think anybody 6'9" that boxes like him can make it hard for anybody. So we're just talking what ifs, because we won't never see that. But listen, I think your opinion is very valid as far as what your thoughts are. What will actually happen, I don't know. But we're definitely, for sure, he's one of the greatest of all time himself. He's right in that category. So he's in that category where you could say, what if? What if he fought Ali? What if he fought Terry Holmes? What if he fought Tyson? You can 100% say that. 100%. So, he's in that mix. He's in that mix. And anybody that says otherwise, then they don't really know boxing. So your opinion is valid on what your thoughts are. It may not be what actually would happen, but who knows? Because we'll never see it.
Yeah. Him and George Foreman would have been fun.
Yes, I agree on that one.
George Foreman's big, right?
He was 6'4", but Ali was 6'4" too.
Well, he only weighed. I looked at he only weighed like 215 pounds when he fought.
Yeah,
250,
right?
220 pounds. 280. Yeah, but he was tall.
Yeah, Tyson Fury's probably what, 300 when he's just walking around. I mean, he's a big guy.
He a big guy.
He's a big guy.
He's bow-legged too, right? He's kind of walking around.
I mean, he can, and he moves. He gets to move, and I'm like, whoa, man, that's crazy.
He's fun to watch because
he's very fun. He's so good.
He's so good.
His trash talk is something else too.
His trash talking. I just watched his trash talking with Usyk, and then he calls him out there. And then who was that other guy? Did you guys see that? There was another guy that came in that he said if Usyk doesn't take it, he'll take it.
I didn't see that.
I didn't see it.
Did you see it, Kyle?
I didn't get to see it. No, I didn't see that.
Okay, there's an MMA fighting, which you can see in my background. I was watching it earlier, and there's another guy that comes in the ring, and they're confronting each other. And Tyson says, if Usyk doesn't take it, then you and I'll fight. So, but anyways, that guy's just a great entertainer. I like watching it. So that's good. Very good. Okay, Kyle. Well,
all right,
great
Coach.
having you on. We know you're going to do what you're going to need to do. And, we'll have you back on and see what you think about coming back on. And, maybe you're the first person I've ever had to ask me questions.
Hey, I'm not bad at this either. I kind of want to get into stuff like this. So
Good
anytime,
start.
coach.
Good
Yeah,
start.
for sure. Yes, sir.
All right. All right, Brian.
All
You
right,
got
Brian.
anything else?
All right, fellas. No, that's pretty much it, man. Appreciate you guys
Okay.
and your time.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on here. It was fun.
Crutch,
All
have a
right.
good fight, man.
All right.
Yep. I'll talk to you guys.